I'm 28, and I think the hardest thing to accept in a long relationship isn't that someone doesn't love you. It's realizing they love you just enough to keep you, but not enough to move forward with you. That kind of love will trap you, because it never gives you a clean reason to leave. Only a slow, quiet feeling that your life is on pause while theirs continues exactly the way they like it. We'd been together for 7 years. 7. At that point, your lives aren't just connected. They're intertwined. We lived together, shared expenses, went through family emergencies, celebrated birthdays, promotions, losses. We had a routine, a system, a life. If you looked at us from the outside, you would have said we were stable, solid, maybe even one of those couples people assume will obviously get married eventually. That's what I thought too, for a long time. His name is Daniel. He's 33. I'm 28. And for most of our relationship, I believed we were on the same timeline. Not in a rushed way, just naturally. You date, you build something, you move forward. I never pressured him early on. I didn't even think much about marriage in the beginning. I just assumed that if two people loved each other and stayed together long enough, it would happen. That assumption turned out to be my biggest mistake. The first time I brought up marriage seriously was about 2 years ago. Not in a dramatic way, not with expectations, just a conversation. He said he was on board. He even started bringing it up himself after that, talking about one day, mentioning kids, making vague future plans. And that was enough to keep me comfortable, because I thought, okay, we're aligned. We're just moving at our own pace. A year passed. Nothing happened. No proposal. No concrete plan. No real steps forward. So I brought it up again. That's when he said something that should have been a warning sign. He said he would propose within the year. Not I want to. Not I'm ready. Within the year. A timeline instead of a feeling. I accepted it. Because when you've already invested that much time, you don't want to believe you're waiting for something that might never come. You start negotiating with yourself. Another year isn't that long. We're already this far in. It'll happen. It has to. That year passed too. Nothing. No proposal. No plan. Just silence. And when I finally brought it up again, it didn't turn into a conversation. It turned into an argument. That was the first time he said it. I'm not opposed to marrying you. Not opposed. That phrase hit harder than a rejection. Because it means I don't actively want it. But I'm not saying no either. It keeps you stuck. It keeps you hoping. It keeps you waiting. I asked him what the issue was. He said we argue too much, that he couldn't marry someone when things weren't perfect. The thing is, our arguments weren't even that bad. We didn't scream. We didn't insult each other. We didn't have explosive fights. We had normal disagreements. Small things. But to him, any conflict was a reason to delay commitment. To me, conflict was just part of being human. That difference became a wall between us. At the same time, I started noticing something else. Something I had ignored for years. I was carrying most of our life. I worked more hours, handled most of the chores, did the grocery shopping, cooked most meals, managed the house. Not because he forced me to, because it just happened. And once something becomes routine, it stops feeling optional. He owned the house, a fixer-upper, except it never got fixed. Things broke and stayed broken. Plans were made and never followed through. I asked about finances once. Savings, debt, future plans. He avoided it, changed the subject, got uncomfortable, and suddenly I realized something that made everything else make sense. He wasn't just unsure about marriage. He was avoiding responsibility. Because as long as nothing was defined, nothing had to change. He could keep the relationship exactly the way it was. Comfortable, convenient, low risk. Meanwhile, my life felt like it was waiting for a green light that never came. Friends around me started getting married, having kids, moving forward. I wasn't jealous, but I felt stuck. Like I had built a life that looked complete, but wasn't actually progressing. The worst part wasn't even the waiting. It was how embarrassed I started to feel. I stopped bringing up marriage, because every time I did, I felt smaller. Like I was asking for something I shouldn't have to ask for. Like I was convincing someone to choose me. And that realization changes something in you. The breaking point wasn't a big fight. It was something small. One night, I was cleaning the kitchen after work. Again. He was sitting on the couch, scrolling on his phone. I asked him casually if he could help. He sighed, like I had asked him for something unreasonable. And in that moment, something clicked. Because it wasn't about the dishes. It was about everything. The waiting, the imbalance, the uncertainty, the years. I turned to him and said, "Do you actually see a future with me?" "Not maybe. Not eventually. Actually." He hesitated, just for a second, but that second was enough. Then he said, "I don't know." That was it. 7 years. And the answer was, "I don't know." Update 1. I didn't leave immediately. I wish I had. Instead, I stayed for a few more weeks trying to process everything. He tried to act normal, like nothing had changed, like that answer wasn't sitting between us every time we spoke. But once you hear something like that, you can't unhear it. Everything starts to feel temporary, even the things that used to feel solid. Update 2. I left. It wasn't dramatic. No screaming. No chaos. Just quiet. I packed my things. Told him I couldn't keep building a life with someone who didn't know if they wanted one with me. He didn't stop me. That hurt more than anything else. Update 3. It's been a few months now, and I've had time to think about everything. I keep coming back to this. If someone wants a future with you, you won't have to wait in silence for it. And if you do, they probably already gave you your answer. I don't regret loving him, but I regret how long I waited for him to decide if I was enough. Because the truth is, I was always enough. He just wasn't ready to build anything that required him to prove it.